What up, Pod Squad? Welcome back to another edition of Mondays with Mehoff, where we bring you on Sunday mornings some of my favorite picks and sleeper values of the week, as well as looking ahead to Monday Night Football. We've been a little out of commission this past week due to some off-the-field stuff, so we'll be back with our regular scheduled podcast this coming Tuesday for you guys, hopefully, but just wanted to get this up before the Sunday morning games kick off here in about an hour and a half or so. Unfortunately, we dropped down to 9-4 on the season for the Monday Night Football games last week, with the Steelers surprisingly showing out and actually putting up some points. 24-17 win over the Colts. I believed in the Colts, and I don't really know why, because they're both kind of disappointing this year. But 9-4 in the season, we're not doing too shabby, so I'll take it. Hoping to get back into that win column this week, and looking at the Saints coming into battle the Bucs in the division battle with some other rough teams, so to speak, but we'll get into that in a second. First off, just wanted to say some of my favorite targets for the week, some guys that maybe are on the border. I'm trying to pick one player per position, so just to give you some guys that I think are going to go off a little bit more than consensus this week, and that maybe I would start over some typical clear choices. So, starting off at quarterback, my big target here is going to be Trevor Lawrence. He's going up against the Detroit Lions, who obviously everyone knows can't stop anybody. They're averaging about 23 to 24 points per game, letting quarterbacks in fantasy score, and the Jaguars have been looking surprisingly good. Trevor isn't super consistent, but I think he's kind of starting to figure it out and progress. So really like him this week for the value. I would start him over guys like Tom Brady, for example, going up against the Saints defense. Running back, I am loving the matchup with Dameon Pierce versus the Browns. I know the Browns have a good defense. I know Houston is expected to get blown out, but Cleveland surprisingly isn't great against the run. So I think everybody's going to be a little bit scared with Dameon Pierce last week after he only put up 8 yards for the entire game. So I think I would fire him up with confidence. I would start him as probably a mid running back 2. I would expect him to get a lot of work in this game, as Houston's going to try to run the clock and try to keep things close. So really like him, fire him up. Wide receiver wise, I'm looking at kind of a lower option. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson for the Jets. He did great last week as soon as they benched Zach Wilson. Amazing that the rookie figures stuff out. So I think a second week with him and Mike White will be really good, and the Vikings secondary is a recipe for fixing anybody's game. So I think he could have a really high volume target day and probably a touchdown or very high yardage. So love him as probably like a mid wide receiver too with upside this week. And then at tight end, nothing exciting or flashy, but I'm going with Foster Moreau from the Raiders. Again, with Darren Waller out, Moreau is just kind of the only option there. They're always behind, they're always going to throw, and I think Moreau now has 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games with Waller being fully ruled out, so I think you will continue to see him get looks. Maybe expect nothing crazy, but 6 target kind of day with a shot in the red zone, so if he gets a touchdown, I mean, that's enough to win you the week, at least on the tight end position with that barren landscape. So really like those 4 guys as my picks this week. As far as Monday Night Football, we've got the Saints coming into the Bucs. Both of them are basically on the verge of elimination, but they're both still in it because that division is just terrible this year. So I know I'm typically a Tom Brady supporter. I don't have a lot of confidence in them this year, but I think this is the week that they just gotta have stuff figured out. You gotta be able to win one here to stay alive. So I'm gonna go with the Bucs at home. I think they will cover. I think it'll be a close game, but I think it'll end up being a 27-21 type of situation. I don't expect a whole lot of fireworks and high scoring, and especially for you Mike Evans owners, I wouldn't get too excited. He typically gets into it with Marshawn Lattimore and gets shut down pretty regularly, so obviously if you have him, you probably have to start him unless you have some amazing receiver options, but I would assume he's more like a low wide receiver too, and you're just hoping for a touchdown. Chris Godwin, on the other hand, I would be very excited about. I would potentially start Godwin over Mike Evans this week. I don't know if that's a spicy claim or not, but I think he's going to get freed up a lot more, and he's been getting a lot of targets lately. Very consistent throughout the year, and he's kind of come on the last week or two. So I would start him. I'd be very excited. I would probably look at Rachaad White still as a flex option. I don't feel great about him this week, but I think he's going to continue to kind of take over that backfield and get the work. Brady, like I said, I'm not starting him if you have any other better streaming option at least. And on the Saints side of the ball, I mean, you have to start Kamara, but it's not great against the Tampa Bay defense. You probably have to start Olave, but I think he's more of a wide receiver 3, and that's pretty much all I'm looking at. So not a whole lot of excitement, but yeah, overall it should be an interesting high-temper division battle. Don't be surprised if we see some fights. It seems like Mike Evans and Lattimore always get kicked out of these games, so it should be a fun one to watch, especially for all of us that are hanging on to our playoff hopes. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, Pod Squad. We'll be back to you soon.